want to say thank you again for your time and for taking the time out to take a look at me and understand that we didn't quite meet the mark this time, but truthfully, it's not a win, it's not a loss, because the current sheriff job is to get the win and take care of the community. Take care of the community. That's where the job really starts. That's when it starts getting a little bit difficult. That's when it gets hard. You know, the campaigning pieces is and election pieces is difficult, but that's not the beginning. The beginning is gaining that trust of the community and gaining the respect of the community. And once you get that, then you're working in the right direction. And wholeheartedly, like I said, thank you for the opportunity.
Let's talk about communication. Let's talk about the love. Let's talk about communication. Oh yeah, talk about the love. Let's talk about communication. Let's talk about the love. Let's talk about communication. Oh yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your host, William Robinson, coming at you live today from the studios of TLC. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Milton Busby Jr. This is a former candidate for sheriff here in Marion County. He's going to give some appreciation to the community and thank everyone for voting for him, all the support that he received. Even though it might have been in the face of defeat, we still won. The victory was still ours in the end. And we're going to explain those things today. We're going to share, care, and we're going to talk a little bit about Milton Busby Jr. and his experience as running for sheriff in Marion County. Ladies and gentlemen, and once again, we're going to give this man a special round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. How you doing today, Mr. Busby?
I am doing wonderful. How about you?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm trying to recover. You know, we had some grueling 4 or 5 months there for a while, huh?
It was.
That's right. We're here today to appreciate basically your fan base. You know, you have a lot of loyal people that was committed to you. You know, you got 14,000 people that come out and vote for you. I was looking at the other races. Even the man who won in the other races didn't have 14,000 votes. Outside of one of the races, total, you got, in the sheriff department, you got more votes than any other. So the community was very invested into this election. A lot of people came out to vote. Sir, what's your thoughts?
Well, I haven't looked at the stats, but I really want to just reach out to those people that helped me during my campaign time period. Especially shout out to my family, my classmates, my friends, my sister, Sean, especially. She was very helpful with me getting the petition signed. And so was my classmate, kindergarten mate, Wanda Morgan. She assisted. But my class and my family, my mom, my dad, everybody was so helpful in me reaching my goals and objectives. And I made it clear when I started this was that I wanted to give the people of Marion County an alternative, an option for sheriff. And I accomplished that goal. And I'm very appreciative of that. I'm appreciative of the people here in Marion County and appreciative of the life that you all helped me, obtain through my career, my personal and professional career.
And that's so important, to the importance of family. And we talk about community a lot. A lot of times throughout your campaign, you constantly spoke of the word community. I think you even changed your name to What you change the name to?
Community Advisory Committee.
That's right. So that's Milton Community Advisory Committee, Busby Jr.
That's correct.
No, that's senior because you the first one of that. Huh?
No, I'm the junior.
But you the first Milton Community Advisory.
That's correct.
That's right. I remember in the beginning stages of this, you would often say to me, William, I'm the science project, and I used to refute that. We ain't no science project. You give my audience a sense of that thought pattern and where does that statement come from?
Well, I look at things from a analytical standpoint, and my background. I've multiple master's degrees, PhD in education, and so from a fiscal and realistic talking point, you had a person, decided that he was going to run against the incumbent, the current sheriff, and family, friends, close friends were all mostly Democrats. My background being military and since 2008, I've been a Republican. A lot of people look at their political affiliation as a religion, and I never looked at it from that standpoint. I looked at it from a standpoint of understanding that the best man and woman for the job need to be the one to get the job. However, our political system here in Florida don't lead to that. Me and you talked, the primary is a closed election. And I hate to go into a civics lesson, but since I got the audience, I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Mm-hmm. Closed elections. That means that in the primary, only Democrats can vote for Democrats, only Republicans can vote for Republicans, except when you have just one party running. At that point, it becomes a universal election. That means Democrats and Republicans can run. Well, when I initially started this, I was in a closed election. And so my relatives, kinfolks, all were called to change their party affiliation from Democrat to Republican. Now, my kinfolks did change. So from that value set, I've already had won. Mm-hmm. Because if my kinfolks gonna vote for me, then I must be doing something right. And if they're gonna change their party affiliation, must be doing something right. Going back to the philosophical, point that we have, you have to find someone that believe in what you believe, gonna make the decisions that's gonna be positive for you and your community, and you have to get past the political affiliation. In Marion County, we had, for county elections, I'm not talking about judges and I'm not talking about non-party affiliation, but party affiliation, you had 0 Democrats running for office in Marion County. Everybody want to talk about the national elections, but I'm going to tell you a secret. The decisions is made in the local election. You got people that are making decisions based on the fact that, and I go back to, my election, 30% of the elected voters here in Marion County made a decision for 100% of the people here, 30%. And so from that aspect, we have to get out and we have to use our power to vote. Now, going back to party affiliation, and I hate to be beating this dead horse, and I leave it at that. At this, you had, I think my count was, you had a small number of I think 40,000 registered, 48,000 registered Democrats in Marion County, and I think you had 112,000.
I believe it was 65,000 Democrats.
65,000.
And 132 Republicans.
Okay, 132,000 Republicans. Okay, and so just looking at the sheer numbers, and and I met people go, they beat the chest. I'm a Democrat. They beat the chest. I'm a Republican. But at the end of the day, I'm American. I'm going to do what's best for America, do what's best for Marion County, and do what's best for the community and the people here. It's not about agendas. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people sit in positions and of power and money, and they don't make the decisions that's best for the community. And I use this for an example. I was standing in front of my brother's business, and a gentleman passed by, and he had his daughter with him, and he said, "Man, I went to jail, and that jail is pretty bad up there. And the guy was my height, so he said, "Man, I was at 275 and lost 75 pounds in that jail." And I looked at him, and I said, "Man, you need to lose 75 pounds. You my height. Yeah. You too heavy." 275. And so he said, "Well, maybe I did." But I said, now that we got past that, I said, we have to do things to make sure people are treated right.
Right.
And that's the bottom line. And no matter what background they come from, treat people right. And so from that, he said, "Well, I need a job." I said, "Well, I can't promise you a job, but I can tell you this. You got the county that's supplying millions of dollars to contractors here in this county, millions. And who's looking after the interests of you?" And I said, "That's all I can tell you.
The big picture.
The big picture, millions of dollars being spent, but who's looking at the interests of a small businessman that want to come out and maybe bid for a contract?" When I worked for the state of Florida, they had initiatives for minority businesses. Mm-hmm. And from that, you had a certain criteria for, putting your name in the hat and being able to compete on a larger scale. We don't have things like that here that I know about. And if I'm misspoken about that, I apologize up front, but I never heard anybody telling me anything about that. And so from a game plan, we, from a voter standpoint, have to be able to understand the power is in the vote.
The reality of that is most people do not think that deep into it. They don't, they consume with their own lives individually and not as a whole. And some people have no knowledge of that thought process. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
And we go so much in this society off of looks or feelings or emotions, rather than being practical and logical. And I think that's one of the great things that you was trying to bring forth is the advisory committee board, to the fact that where you will inform the people. Because a lot of time we just not informed. I think people will make better decisions given the knowledge, given the information that they need to make a proper decision. You understand? You agree with that, sir?
I agree. And the advisory committee board is something that the people of Marion County needs to reinforce, mm-hmm. or they need to look at understanding what they need to do to have a recall for their elected officials here in Marion County. If you're not doing your job, then put mechanisms in place that you can go through the state legislatures and come up with special rules for Marion County. You know, they've done it for other counties. All you got to do is take it to the legislators, say, this is what we want to do, and we can do it. But if we don't, like you said, understand exactly what the process is, we're going to end up losing everything. And the national election is not going to make us. What's going to make us here in Marion County is who's making the laws locally here, and who's making the decisions for how all our money is being spent, you know, within Marion County.
Okay, take me back to, you know, your walk. You know, when you thought about this election and you made up your mind, I'm going to do this. And when we heard the story, you know, once you cast the votes and everything is going down, it's a month or two out. Give us your mind frame and how did you see it, and looking back at it, what would you have done differently and so forth?
That's pretty easy. It would be ran more like a tactical mission, strategic mission, operational mission. Looking at all three of those levels and understanding that time is against me. Now, going back to my decision to run goes back to, you know, the unfortunate situation with the lady that was shot through the door with a daughter there, and the sheriff's office was slow in responding and doing their job. You know, I talked to people about issues that went on within the jail, where it's people not being medicated. It's the way they being treated. It was, you know, multiple factors that brought me and made me make that decision to run for sheriff. Now, it goes back to the accountability piece, and you have a certain portion of the population, that 30%, going back to that 30%, that's making the decision on who's going to be, you know, elected officials here. Well, that 30% may not be making the best decision for the other 70%. Right. And I go back to, you know, the example I use. I was down at the Century Village area down in Summerfield, and I was one or two black people in the room. Me and Wanda Faye, she was in the room. She was helping me, and the significance was when we went into the neighborhood of where we're going to ask the question to Wanda Faye. I say, so what are we going to be looking for? What kind of responses we're going to get? What are these people's problems going into this, you know, driving into this neighborhood? She said, I don't know. I haven't met them. I said, well, it's pretty clear to me. I said, you got a gated community. You got to give your blood type, your left rib, and maybe a kid to get through the gate. So you can't get through the gate. These are, you know, probably $500,000 to $1 million homes. Okay. So we get in there. I said, they don't have law enforcement issues. Yeah. They have traffic issues. They're, and excuse my French, I said their biggest problem is driving to Publix and not getting in a crash. Right. I said, that's probably the issues. So when we got into the community, I asked the question. Lady came through my little area that I had. I said, so what kind of problems do you have here? She said, oh, we really don't have no problems. Next person comes through. So what kind of problems do you have here? Well, I haven't seen any problems really. We have traffic problems. So going down my lane. So another lady came through, third lady. She asked, "So what are you doing?" I said, "Ma'am, I'm running for sheriff of Marion County." So she said, "Oh no, I can't do anything with that. Billy Woods does such a great job." So I started moving some literature around, and I gave it to her, and I said, "Ma'am, tell me, can I ask you a question?" She said, "Yes." I said, "What is it that Billy Woods do that's such a great job?" She said, "I can't remember that." And I said, I got that same problem. I can't remember nothing either. The point making, I am the science project, but you got to be straight with people and understand exactly what their thoughts are. That's your 30% right there, making the decision. And so when folks sit back and they say, well, we needed to do things a little different, we need to make a change, the bottom line is that the vote is the power. But however, if you don't understand the mechanics of what the value of your vote is, and you may not be able to be a registered Democrat, you may not be a registered Republican in order to get your initiative completed. You may have to make a change. And don't wait until a month before the election. Get educated, make yourself smart on what the issues, what the problems are, what needs to be fixed, and all those particular things. If I had talked to that woman about, lawsuits with the jail, or talked to her about the running of the jail, or talk to her about lawsuits with people being paid because of violations of civil rights, she never knew what I was talking about.
Throughout this experience I've had with you, there was quite a few people that was quote unquote influential in the community that has a voice, but it's almost they chose self over the big picture. They chose, well, I can't come forward because it may affect me this way or that way, or I can't come forward because I don't want to ruffle any feathers that protects me. And that seems to be the mindset of the majority. It's individual based. The world has turned into, it's me. Me first. Rather than us. That's like I never understood how one armed man could take over an airplane or a train. Because me, I don't want to be shot. So I'm going to stay here. But everyone's thinking the same thing. The man has a revolver. It's 100 people on the 50, 60 people on the plane. He got a revolver. He got 6 bullets. However many bullets. You understand what I'm saying? It has to be a sacrifice for the betterment of the people. And even an officer, a fighter, EMS, the military, these are the people that put their lives on the line daily for you to live a cushioned life. So these people are willing to make a sacrifice. Sacrifices must be made in order to advance. And what do you have to say about that type of mindset, sir?
Well, you talk about sacrifice, and I had to take the hit on the sacrifice because it comes down to these valued employees, men and women working every day, have to take care of their family. Mm-hmm. So when they make a decision, and if they say something in this environment, it could affect their livelihood, could affect their family, could affect a lot of things. I walked through the door and I told folks, and that's what's taking me so long to say thank you to everyone. I said the worst thing happened to me. I go home and I cut the grass and I work for my wife. So I've been cutting the grass and she had a couple honeydew things for me to do, and I've been working on that. So I apologize for taking so long to come back and tell everybody thank you for their campaign support. But that's the worst with me. Other folks not afforded that opportunity. You know, I've worked 30 years in the military, 30 years, you know, with the highway patrol. I've been blessed. I've you know, had good people in my life to give me good advice. And so, you know, it come from good stock. So it's been a blessing for me. So I could run for sheriff. You know, I really truthfully was praying that somebody else would step up to the plate, but no one did. And I will tell you this, if Billy Woods don't keep his business straight, I will come back in 4 years. It's all about treating people right and doing the right thing. That's all you got to do. You know, everything else work its way out. And anyone that has known me in the military, known me in, you know, in this civilian world, highway patrol, I'm protective of my people as long as my people are doing right.
You know, so to my community, to our community here in the great Marion County. So that's, you know, one thing about you I've noticed, you give a man your word, you finish, you follow through with your word. And so that being said, in 4 years, if things continue to go the way they're going, we're going to redo this thing.
Now, I'm going to be the final defining point. And I'm not waffling. But I'm praying that a zebra would change its stripe. I'm praying that this sheriff's office will run at a different operational tempo that it has for the last 8 years. I'm praying that they're going to investigate cases thoroughly and not rubber stamp things as an accidental death, which, in my opinion, changes the statistics for Marion County. You got more people that are victims of crime, and they're being reclassified as an accident.
And, you know, and it's funny you say that because at the update, not the debate, that was something that Mr. Woods was hanging his head on. He kept coming back to the fact that how far crime has dropped and so forth, and the community not really understanding, you know, the reason why these crimes are considered on paper to be dropping. And you see, those are the things that's important to certain people, not the community, not the pulse, not the heartbeat of the community. It's the numbers that's on paper. And we're looking to change that. Like you say, you know, maybe a zebra will change its stripes.
I hope so. I pray so.
You know, I believe that throughout your campaign, you shine a lot of light on a lot of things. Miss April and Al Counterman called in the other night on Get It Off Your Chest, you know, and we talked about, you know, if you got one flashlight in the middle, you know, you got a lighthouse in the middle of the ocean. You can't see what's in front of you, but you know if you go to that light, it'll lead you in a certain direction. And we, the community, we appreciate you for being the light within our community, showing us the way, being more than a science project, because a lot of people have gained hope. A lot of people believe in you, and they continue to believe in you, and they only don't look at you as a candidate. They consider you as a friend. You know, and that's important because relationships are everything. That's something that you push and you know, that was the pulse of your campaign, relationship and community and family. And those things that still exist as you sit here today, you know, I think the audience really took to you. You know, you have some true supporters, you know, and we're willing to, whichever decisions you make, I think the community will continue to get behind you. And I think we'll start about a year out. You know, we got the campaign a little earlier, and we'll get this thing done because they know who Milton Busby Jr. is.
Let me put a caveat. Being an officer, being a sheriff is a young man's game. Okay. We, being older folks, need to be mentoring folks to come in after us, and take our place and do a better job. Mentorship, training, education, all of those are valued assets that we have to be focusing on. I hope that in 4 years that we got somebody that's going to step up to the plate, that's a heck of a lot younger than me, that's going to do the right thing to take this county to another level in terms of their requirements, their police requirements, their community requirements, their whatever requirements it may be. Mm-hmm. We have to be growing and getting better, because the world is not. And so from that, we have to do what we need to do as a community, sticking together, working together to make things better.
So if that candidate, if that person was looking at this podcast right now, even if they decide to run 2 years from now, they make their decision and they come back and look at this podcast, what type of advice do you have for that individual?
Start 2 years out, because the incumbent's going to have the money, and apparently money means much in a campaign. I did not have that much money, and I managed to get the number of votes that you're talking about. So it's all about the time and spreading the word. I think one of the things that I talked about with the with one of the events that I went to is that a lot of people, and I think you were at that event. We were at the livestock pavilion, mm-hmm. and I made the statement: there are many people in this county that are not satisfied with the law enforcement services that's being provided. But however, when I go into the gated communities, these gated communities, and I've been to a couple of them, that they invited me, and those environments, the sheriff is doing a wonderful job. But I already asked the question, you know, what type of law enforcement services are you getting? You know, what job is so wonderful that's being done? You know, go up to the north part of the county where you don't have the gated communities, and you have theft, you have drugs, you have assaults, you have all those things, and they don't really think that they're getting their money's worth. And going back to once again, I know I refer back to money's worth, $197 million budget. People are not getting the services that they needed. They say they're going to get 200 officers. I said, what your manpower requirements are. Tell me what your needs are. Don't tell me what you're going to get, what you're going to go get. You know, is 200 the right number? Is that 200 going to be going into the jail, or going on the road, or going into supervision, or going doing the specialties positions? Mm-hmm. I want to know that, you know, but the people in Marion County needs to know what they're getting for their money. And the folks that are, you know, in certain locations, they getting what they're supposed to get, but a lot of people's not. And we got to do something to correct that.
You know, you spoke of the reasoning for, you know, one of the main decisions of you running for sheriff was the Angelica Owens case.
Yes, sir.
And they have since went to trial and came back with a guilty verdict. What's your thoughts on that?
I pray that the family can get a certain amount of closure out of that. My heart goes out to them, and I'm just glad the right decision was made at the end. While involving that case.
So this is the moment we all been waiting for. You want to give a shout out to the wonderful, glorious 14 plus thousand people that believed in Milton Busby Jr. The day of the election, we learned that a lot of people voted on the day of election. You made a great push. You made a couple thousand push on the day of election, and the importance of and the understanding of early voting and, not only early voting, but mail-in ballots and things of that nature. But we do appreciate the ones who actually came on election day. And I'm quite sure it was some that wanted to make it and didn't make it. And I got a couple phone calls that day because people were showing up the precincts and they were sending them other places, especially down the stretch. They were trying to kind of giving them a hard time. They felt as though they was giving them a hard time, making it hard for them to cast their vote within the allotted time that was given to them. So let's speak on the importance of the mail-in ballots and the early voting.
I think you summed it up. The mail-in ballots, you have to renew that, on a certain timeline and make sure that's being renewed. Going back to the early voting, the uniqueness of that is that you can go to any precinct and vote for early voting. And that's the value of that. And I think if I can recall, you had either a week or 10 days prior to, the actual election day to get in. So if you're working or if you're doing something, it's no problem just to go down and vote. Mm-hmm. Vote for somebody because the power is in the vote. But I can tell you, you have to find a candidate and do your research and vote for the candidate. I know I'm going across the line when folks say, "Oh, grew up this particular party. I grew up that particular party." But at the end of the day, you can't get there from here and the way the system is set up. Democrats, Republicans only in the primary, and it's closed unless it's become a universal election.
That's right.
And so from that talking point, if nobody take anything else away from that, look at your party affiliation, look at knowing that your power is in the vote, and make a decision on which way you're going to go in order to be a valued asset in terms of changing the direction of this county.
And to my audience, what he mean by that, the primary and the closed election and so forth, is that if you're a Democrat, the only person you would see on your ballot is the Democrats. If you're a Republican, you would not have a chance to vote for a Democrat. A lot of times we automatically think that all elections are like the presidency election.
The general election.
But that's not the case. When it comes to the local elections, things are different. And running as a Democrat in the sheriff race would have been, it just didn't make sense because there's only 65,000 Democrats that's registered to vote within Marion County, and you had 132,000 Republicans. So even if every Democrat decided to vote for Mr. Busby, only half of the Republicans had to come in and he still would lose. So, we have to think about these things before we have ignorant mindsets and so forth. So you have to understand the big picture.
And let me add to that. Remember, it goes back to saying again, in Marion County, you had zero Democrats running for office. Zero.
And that's not elected. That's running. Not one Democrat ran for office because they understand that there's not many Democrats registered to vote in Marion County. I mean, it's an uphill battle. It's a losing battle, but we can change that, whether that's, you changing your party to Republican to make a difference, because it's not about a party, it's about an individual, the right person for the job, and we must raise up our youth to possess these positions. We want more. We want better sheriff officers and doctors and lawyers and judges. We got to raise our children and our nieces and nephews up to be these people, to be the difference in the community. Like I say, I met a man in the post office, told me he knew Mr. Busby from a kid. He named his whole family and everybody and voted for him and everything. And but still yet, had certain things to say. You got all this to say, but you right here and you 70 years old and you haven't stepped up to the plate and made the difference yet. So, we have to, if we're going to talk about it, we got to be about it. Mr. Busby is here today to thank the 14,000 people. So we're going to give him a chance right now to speak directly to each and every one of you who decided to vote for him, which we feel within our heart was the right decision. Hey, sometimes you get the bear and sometimes the bear gets you. But that don't mean you don't get back up and you keep fighting. Don't get discouraged. Don't get despaired. We're going to believe, and maybe a zebra will change the stripes. But, these years will go by, and we got 4 more years. We got another shot in 4 years. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Busby to talk directly to the 14,000+ people that believed in him.
I want to say thank you again for your time and for taking the time out to take a look at me and understand that we didn't quite meet the mark this time, but truthfully, it's not a win, it's not a loss, because the current sheriff job is to get the win and take care of the community. Take care of the community. That's where the job really starts. That's when it starts getting a little bit difficult. That's when it gets hard. The campaigning piece is and election pieces is difficult, but that's not the beginning. The beginning is gaining that trust of the community and gaining the respect of the community. And once you get that, then you're working in the right direction. And wholeheartedly, like I said, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you all again for allowing me to talk to you all during this period. Thank you.
That's right. We want to thank Mr. Busby, man, for his dedication to our community. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, William Robinson of Talk, Love, and Communication. And I do believe that all things, problems, situations, circumstances can be resolved through the proper channels of love and communication, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank myself and thank Mr. Busby for giving me the opportunity to work on this campaign with him. I learned a lot. I've grown as a man, grown as an individual, and grown as a podcaster throughout this experience. And I don't believe this will be the last we know of Milton Busby Jr., ladies and gentlemen. Like I say, this is a wonderful man in our community. I believe he still stands for us, and he stands tall and proud for who he are. He believes in family, community, and unity. That's the same thing we do here on Talk, Love, Communication, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, you only got one life to live, and it's a whole lot easier with love and communication. If nobody told you they love you today, William Robinson loves you. Yeah. I was thinking what I may do, right, is I do my get it off the chest and all of that. I may have episodes where I'll play this back And you know, and people gonna want to see it because a lot of people have been saying it to me.